going to give you a little bit of an overview of what evaluations do, because I'm going to be talking primarily about the evaluation of our effort, and whether it's worked or not, and if it works, why we think it's worked, and if it hasn't, why it hasn't. So I'm going to give you a little background on just what evaluations do and the various roles that they play. Oftentimes, people develop some sort of intervention program to try to fix some problem in their community, okay? And there is this kind of life cycle, life course to these intervention programs. And I'll try to illustrate it. They usually start off with somebody identifying a problem, deciding they want to do something to fix it, change the outcomes, get things better, and then they develop a plan on how they're going to do that. They then implement this plan, and then they achieve some sort of outcomes. And if it's good, and if large numbers of people are committed to trying to sustain this improvement, then they will find ways to institutionalize the program. It becomes a part of the way of life, a part of the culture, a part of the way the institution operates. And that's sort of the normal life cycle of any sort of program. Programs should be evaluated, but there are different ways in which evaluation can plug into, and different roles that it can serve in both the development and the outcome evaluation of programs. So let's look at the various types of evaluations that can happen over the course of a program. In the early phases, when people are just identifying a problem, there are some evaluation activities that can be done that help you to assess how big the problem is and for which populations of people. Those typically are called needs assessments. My office does these for a variety of groups. We're getting ready to do them for a couple of different United Ways around the state. They're trying to figure out the need for various kinds of social services because they want to intervene to help people cope with some bad social problems. Another kind of sort of early stage evaluation activity is in the planning stage when you're trying to get ready to figure out what the program will be, is to evaluate the various elements of the program that you are going to implement to see if you can tweak them and make sure they're likely to work. So if you're giving messages to people, will they understand it? If you're planning on distributing it, are you going to distribute it in ways that it's likely to be seen, heard, and understood? So there are a lot of different things that you can be examining as an evaluator early on to try to maximize the opportunity for your intervention program to actually have some impact. In the middle course, once you are implementing the program, there's a different kind of evaluation activity that's typically warranted, and that's, have you actually implemented the plan that was developed? There are a lot of plans that never came together, they couldn't get the staff, they missed the timing, things didn't happen the way they were supposed to, somebody dropped the ball, whatever. So one of the things that an evaluator should be doing is keeping track of whether or not the program, the plan, was implemented as it was designed. But the plan also involves making sure that messages or interventions reach the at-risk population. So even if it's planned and executed well, if it doesn't, the way you've done it doesn't actually reach the group that you were trying to help, then it still might fail. So the evaluation in this stage should be trying to figure out, have you reached the group that you were trying to reach? In the latter part, and this is the type of evaluation that most people think of when they talk about evaluations, you're trying to figure out what was produced as a result of this program. How much did it produce, its output, how many people were touched, how many people received services, and whether or not things changed. What was the outcome? Did they benefit or not? And then some additional kinds of outcome-related evaluations have to do with the relative benefit for the amount of costs incurred in intervening. How much effect for how much cost, how much benefit for how much cost. I mean, something may work fine, but it's just prohibitively expensive to do for the relatively small gain. And you may decide not to institutionalize it, even though it was effective, because the effect was not justified by its expense. So that's a different kind of evaluation. So those are the various kinds of evaluation activities that typically occur over the course of the life cycle of a program. Most of the ones that we commonly think about have to do with the outcome assessments. We're going to talk about some of the things we've done along the way because evaluation has been built into the social norming program here pretty much since day one. In fact, it was sort of before day one, because we did some initial things that looked like a needs assessment
before we actually had the money to do solar farming.